everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little sun catcher with the Spring Splendor treasure bag. Of course, like with all of these all of the treasure bag tutorials, you can use anything you want that you have on hand. These are technique videos, so use whatever you'd like. You can hang anything in the middle that you'd like. It doesn't have to be this big pendant thing. It can be anything you want. Some crystals kind of on a piece of chain like this down here. You can do a lot of things with it. You can use any pendant you want or a crystal, whatever you'd like. So this is what we're going to make. Let me get you a little closer so you can see it. I think it turned out really pretty. Dangles really pretty. It turns with the wind. This middle piece, it's just really pretty. So stay tuned and we'll make a sun catcher. Okay, so we are going to make a sun catcher, and you can use anything you want to use in this. You do not have to use what I'm using, but I'm using some of the things from the Spring Splendor treasure bag. There was this big pendant, and when I ordered it, I really envisioned something different. And so I decided I want to use it in a sun catcher. It has little pieces of glass floating in it. You can use anything that you want, of any size that you want, for your middle centerpiece of your sun catcher, the way I'm showing you. You'll just have to accommodate the size of your pendant with the wire frame that we're going to make. So if you're using something small, you'll cut less wire than I do. And if you're using something bigger, of course, you'll cut more. And that being said, we're going to need some wire. So I am using 20 gauge artistic wire, and I have cut about 8.5 inches of it. Geez, I don't know where my voice went on that one. That was kind of weird. And then I'm going to use a few other things. So some of the chain that came in the box, we're going to cut a few pieces. You want a long piece for the top, 2 or 3 pieces for the dangles on the bottom, and I will show you during the tutorial exactly how I've cut those, how many links I used, and why. And then we're going to be using some of the spacer beads, 4mm round little silver tone iron spacer beads. We're going to be using some of those and one of the little hearts that came in the box. Anything you want to use in this will work fine. Just get stuff out of your stash, and you can make it as a Christmas tree ornament, or you can make it as a sun catcher, or something to hang off your rear view mirror, whatever. Then I'm going to use some of the 8x6 Rondell clear crystals that was in the bag, and of course, again, you can use anything that will slide over your wire. I have some of these little jingle bells that were in my Christmas box that I never really used, and I may put some of those on one of the dangles. So if you still have your Christmas box and you didn't use the jingle bells, you could use those too. I want this to probably be either a sun catcher or a Christmas ornament, and it'll go both ways. So then I'm going to use some head pins and some jump rings, and I've just got a package out of multiple different sizes, and I will show you and tell you what I'm using as I'm using it, because I'm designing this as I do this. So get your stuff out, get yourself out some tools. So I've got a chain nose, a flat nose, a round nose, some flush cutters, and I've got a nylon nose. And you may not need this, but I always have it out when I'm working with wire. And let's go ahead and get started on this. To start this project, you're going to take your 8.5 inches or whatever size that you've decided you want to use. If you're doing something smaller, of course, you're going to need less wire. This is going to be the frame that's going to go on the outside of our little sun catcher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little cup like this. Now my wire has some resilience to it. It's not dead soft. So I can use something small and still get a nice size loop because of the fact that it will kind of pop back out. So if you're using a very dead soft wire, then you'll want something real close to the size of loop that you want to end up with, or of circle that you want to end up with. This is fine for me. I can just put it on here, kind of force it into a circle, and then you see it pops out like that for me. And this, like I said, is artistic wire. It's 20 gauge. Get close so you can see exactly what it is, and if you need to freeze on it, you can, so you know what I'm using. And then I can put this in here, make sure that it's going to work fine for me, because I'm going to put beads on this, so I want some space, and I want it to frame my piece just right. And of course, this is going to close some, so you want to make sure that you have enough room. If you're making something smaller, of course, you can make a smaller loop or a smaller circle. Now, we're going to finish one side of this so that we can slide our beads on. I'm going to get my flush cutters and flush cut this wire on the end here, just because it's not flush cut. And then I am going to just take my round nose pliers and place them on the end of this wire, and I want to bend this wire up away from the bead mat. So if I'm laying this down, I want to bend my loop up towards me. So I'm going to place my pliers on it so that I will accomplish that. And then I'm going to make a fairly decent sized loop. So I want to be a little ways down on my plier. And then I'm just going to turn until I can't turn anymore. And then I'm going to reposition my wrist and continue turning again. So all I've done is just kind of turn my wrist and bring it back down the wire so that I get a loop like this. I'm going to close that a little more. Now I have a loop that goes this way, and I want it centered. So I'm going to take my plier, put it on this side of the loop, the closed side, and I'm going to move my wire back like this. Now I have a loop that's more centered with my wire. And then I'm just going to straighten it out with my straight nose pliers, and I think I'm going to close this loop a little bit more by lifting it, twisting it up, and then pushing it towards the inside here, towards the straight wire, like that. And now, this is what I have. Now, in case you messed up your wire a little bit, you can put it back on your, whatever it is you're using to form it, and just do that again. Now, this isn't going to stay perfect, but it's going to have beads on it, so it doesn't truly matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 4mm round bead, and I'm going to drop it on here, and I'm just going to do a series of beads around this. Now, if you're going to do it like I am with dangles on the bottom, you want to make sure that you put the same amount of beads on one side as you do on the other. So you will want to make sure that as you put your beads on, you make a pattern that you can repeat twice. And then no matter if it goes all the way to the end or not, it'll be centered. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to put on 3 of my rondelles here. And I'm just going to make a little pattern until I work my way to the center. I've got 3. And then I'm going to grab another spacer bead. And then I am going to go ahead and put my beads on and come back and show you exactly what I put on. Okay, so what I have put on, and this isn't exactly center, but it's real close. And like I said, as long as I do the same pattern on this side, even if it drops down a little ways, it will be centered as it hangs. So what I've put on is I put on a 4mm spacer bead, then 3 of my 8x6 rondelles, and then a spacer bead, 3 more, a spacer bead, 3 more, a spacer bead, 2 more of the rondelles, and then a spacer bead. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to call that center, and I am going to get a piece of chain. Now I've cut 3 pieces of the chain that came in the bag. You can use any chain you want, it doesn't matter. But with this and what I'm using, this is a Figaro chain, so it has little top pieces, and then it has little links in between big links, basically. So for my longest angle in the center, I have put on 4 big links with 5 little links. So I have the 5 little link on the top here, and that's what I'm going to use for my center piece. And I want to drop that on. I have the little link here, so I want to drop it on at this point. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open this bigger link on the bottom here, and it doesn't matter if you don't have big and small links, just use whatever length you would like. This is about 1.5 inches long, And I'm going to open this bigger link on the bottom. I'm just going to grab one half and then the other half, and this is twisted links, so they're kind of hard to open and close correctly, so just be patient with it. I've opened it some. I'm going to grab this heart and I'm going to put it on there, and then I'm going to close this link the best I can here. And then this will be my dangle, just like this. And then I am going to drop this on here. And I'm going to repeat my pattern. Now, with these, if you do not have the kind of chain that I have, then you're going to want to drop on another one, a shorter one, in between these two beads first. But because my chain is pretty good size and my beads are not going to be real tight, I can come back and put it in between the chain after I've made my pattern, because I want to center it and then figure out where I'm going with it. But I know that I can just link this over the chain, or you can use a jump ring and do the same thing, open it up and put it on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2 lengths of chain reserved for me, and I've made them shorter than the other chain. So this chain had the 4 big links and the 5 small links. This, I'm just having the big link I'm going to use towards the top. I'm going to have 3 of them and 3 of the small links, so that it's shorter than this one. So basically you just want 2 pieces of chain that are shorter than the one that you've put in the middle, so that it has a nice effect. And then I'm going to continue putting on my beads here. And I'm just going to do the exact same pattern that I did before. So actually I need a spacer bead first, and I'm just going to reverse what I did. So I'm going to put this on, and then I will put on my 2 rondelles, and then I will put on a spacer bead and continue all the way up to the top. When I get to the top, we'll be back. I'm just making this exactly the same as this side. Now, if you feel like you're going to have too much wire at the end, we can adjust that too, and I'll show you how. But just make sure you make your pattern the same on this side as you did on this side, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now I have done both sides exactly the same, and this end is just a little bit long. Now it has to be longer than it looks like it should be when you finish. Like, this side is too long because you still have to turn your loop, but mine is just a tiny bit longer than I need it to be to turn my loop, and my end is not flush cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently cut this a little bit, leaving enough to turn a loop. And then I'm going to turn my loop exactly the same way I did before. I'm holding on to my beads, and I need to turn my loop up away from my bead mat. So I'm going to grab a hold of it basically in the same spot that I did on my plier before, so I get the same size loop. And I'm going to turn as far as I can, and then I'm just going to turn my wrist down and continue. Sometimes you can take the plier out, go back in, and finish your loop. However, you can just finish that loop. It does not have to be perfect. And then, again, I'm going to take my pliers to the back side of the loop and bring this wire over so that I kind of center that loop a little bit. So I'm just moving this side of the wire. Now I have a loop that's the same as the loop on this side. And this is what this looks like, just like this. Okay, so now I'm going to take my flat nose pliers, and I'm going to bring my loops down just a little bit, adjust this, make sure that my loops are going to work well. So just look at them. If you need to bring them over a little with your flat nose, whatever you need to do to bring them together so that when you hold it like this, it looks like they're going to come together well. And then I am going to get, this is about an 8 to 10 millimeter jump ring. And you can use either size, it doesn't matter. 10 is going to bring it a little bit bigger around here. And I believe this is a 10. But if I could find my measuring tool, let me measure. This is 8 millimeters in diameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this jump ring and I'm going to open it. Just twisting it open like this. And then I'm going to put it on this side. And then I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm going to close it. You'll probably get away with even a 6 millimeter, but this is good, just like that. So now it's closed, so now I have something I can dangle something on here. So first I'm going to work on the bottom here, and then we're going to go ahead and put this on. So since this is sideways, I'll put another jump ring on and put this in the middle like this. But we'll do that in a minute. So first of all, I'm going to get my 2 shorter pieces of chain that I cut, and I'm going to dangle something on the bottom. Now you could put 2 more hearts on the bottom if you'd like. We have plenty of them. Let me see, I didn't have those out. Maybe I'll do that. Let me grab a couple of hearts. I'll put 2 more hearts on here. And originally I was just going to dangle some of these little guys down there, but I think maybe I'll go ahead and dangle the hearts and then put something dangling on the chains. We'll make some little dangles for the Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to use these little jingle bells. You can use anything you want. You can make a loop with one of your crystals and put it on here too, and I am going to show you how to do that also. But because we're probably going to make some loops and hang them on here just to make it more decorative. But I am going to grab one of my little jingle bells, and I'm going to find some small jump rings. And these are like a 4 millimeter jump ring, 3 or 4, something like that. And I'm just going to grab one of them, twist it open, see if it, well, this is big enough here. I want to connect it to the small loop on my chain this time, on my 3 bigger linked chain with one end that has the small one. I'm going to put that on the small end so I can open up the big end and put it on my piece. So you can make your dangles in advance so you can just string them on too. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, but this is just kind of, I'm designing, so I don't always do it the easiest way. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Is that shorter than that one? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that'll work fine. And then what I'm going to do after I have my little bell on here is I'm going to go ahead and connect it, just so you can see how I do that. Of course, you can keep it off, put more dangles on like I'm going to show you, or you can put your dangles on after you put it on. Either way, whatever works for you. I'm opening the bigger link. I had it upside down so the rest of my dangle fell off, but I'm opening the bigger link, and I'm going to open it rather wide, and then I'm just going to move my beads aside and push this over my piece. See, my beads are not real tight on here, so I can move it aside, and I want to put it right between the 2 beads here, like this. And then I'm just going to close it. If your beads are real tight, like I said, string it on, have your dangles ready, and then string it on as you're stringing your beads on. And I think I want this even shorter, so I'm going to take this back off, and I'm just going to make my links with 2 big ones here instead of 3. I think I want it to have a little bit more of a bigger look. So I'm just going to get rid of that link, and I'm going to get rid of this link here. Let's see if I like that, because I want a big link to connect with. Of course, you can use a jump ring too. You don't have to take the little link off if you don't want. You could just use a bigger jump ring. And then I'm going to open this. And then again, I'm going to put it on here. So all I did was remove a couple links because I want that to be a little bit shorter. Let's see if that's too short now. Now, actually, I kind of like the way that looks. Let me back off so you can actually see what I'm doing. Here I am just fiddle farting around, not even showing you what I'm doing. That's not very nice. So that's what that's going to look like. And then I'm going to go ahead and put another one on this side, and we'll be back. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. And what I've decided is I still have a couple of these little hearts from my treasure bag, and I have an uneven number, but I'll put maybe a couple on these little short dangles here, one on either side, and then I'm going to make some dangles with my rondelles and see if I can hang some on. Maybe I'll hang one on each of these smaller little loops or something like that. So I'm going to show you how to make some of these dangles, and then with these little hearts I'm just going to use some small jump rings and put them on, and I'll show you how I do that too. First, let's make a loop. This is what we want to make to put on our chain here. So we'll see how that looks. It might look funny, but it might not. It might look pretty good. So I've got some head pins. You can use a longer head pin. I found some short ones. So they're not very lovely ones. They're all bent up and weird. Cheap ones. Anyway, these are a little shorter. You can use the longer one. It doesn't matter. You just have to cut it down more when you're doing this. But I'm going to grab one of my head pins. I'm going to put a bead on it. Then I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers, and just a tiny bit above this bead, I'm going to bend this straight over like that. So it gives room for the bend. So you're just a little bit above that, bend it straight over, and then you're going to cut this down to about 1/4 of an inch here. So about right here, depending upon how big you want your loop to be. And then you're going to cut the excess off. So if you have a long head pin, you're just going to cut more off. And you can always save, if you cut a whole bunch off, you can always save the rest of it and make eye pins out of them. And then you've got this, just like this, and I'm going to place my plier. I'm going down a ways on my plier because I have quite a bit of wire, and I want a decent sized loop. And I'm just going to start my loop by just turning my wrist towards me. And then I'm going to bring my plier vertical to the bead mat and turn some more. And then when you're almost all the way there, you can always take it out and finish it up. Just like that with the end of your plier. Just roll it over, basically all you have to do. And make several of these little loops like that. And I will show you exactly how many I make. But first I want to put some little hearts on here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to open one of these small jump rings. I'm going to use like a 3-4 millimeter size jump ring. I'm going to put it on my little tiny heart that I have left. And I'm going to go into my Figaro chain. I'm going to go into the first small link here. And I'm going to go towards the outside of the link. And I'm going to put this on. So the outside I'm considering is over to my right. Doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do it any way you want. And try to close this little tiny jump ring. Let's see if that interferes too much. Yeah. So what I did is I got it on the jump ring that's attaching my belt. I didn't want that. I wanted it on the one above it, on the link above it. So I'm going to open that and reposition it because I don't like it there. That doesn't work. So let me open this. Find my opening here. Take this off. And then I'm going to grab my heart again. Put it back on here. And I'm going to make sure this time I go up into this. Maybe I want to go into the bigger loop. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go into the bigger loop, because I don't want it to lay right on top of my bell. So I'm just positioning it however I think it's going to work. Yeah, that worked. And then I'm going to do another one up on the bigger loop that's attached to the piece itself. in between the beads there, I'm going to grab another loop and attach another little heart right here. And this one went towards the inside of my piece, so I want to try to go to the outside, which is difficult to tell because these links are twisted, so you think you're doing one thing and you end up doing something else. So let me see. And like I said, it really truly doesn't matter anyway. So I'm just going to put it on here. Get over there, you. So that's what I have so far. And we can always put one of our little crystals on there too. If we decide we want to, we can do that too. But I'm going to put the little hearts here. I'm going to make some more loops. And then I'm just going to open up the loop on the bead. So this side is open here. I'm just going to twist it open. I'm going to decide where I want to put this. And I think I want to put it on this small link here. And then I want to close it. Yeah, that looks okay. So I'm just going to continue making loops and putting dangles on here. So I'll probably put another dangle on this side of the small loop. Maybe I'll put 2 dangles on each small loop. Haven't decided yet, but it doesn't really matter where you position them. Just put them on so that they lay nicely. They're not actually covering your heart, but they're enhancing it and making it look pretty. And if you want to, you can always put a crystal on the other ones too, and I may do that too. So basically just make as many crystal loops as you want and start putting them on. And I will come back and I will show you exactly what I've done. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Let me get you in a little closer. And basically all I did was put 2 jump rings on each small loop or each small link in between the bigger links. Put one on each half of the link so that when it dangles I'll have an even dangle on either side. So I used 6 on the longer piece of chain, and then on this one, on these shorter ones, I showed you how I put the hearts on, and I just put 1 dangle on the small link right here because I had my hearts on the big links. Put 1 dangle on the small link. I just mirrored them. So if this one was hanging towards the outside, this one's hanging towards the outside of the link, and the same with the rest of it. So this is twisted right now, but this one is on the same half that this one's on, and then I have my little bells. So it's 2 hearts and a looped rondelle on either side here. And that turned out really pretty. Looks really good. Of course, do it any way you want. You don't have to do it how I'm doing it. You can use all different sizes of beads. You can use different colors of beads. It doesn't matter. Different types. It truly doesn't matter. This is just a technique to show you. But if you have the treasure bag and you want to make one like mine, then you have that reference also. Now, I need to work on my inside here. I need to put that on there. I didn't want to put it on at first because you could open this link up here and you could just slide it on with the jump ring, but I didn't want to have to work all this with this in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab another jump ring, and I think I'm going to use like a 6mm jump ring, and I'm going to open it, and you can see how this loop is laying the same way this loop is. So they're both like flat against the bead mat. I want this one to be vertical in between so that it hangs correctly. So that's why you need to have a jump ring. You can't just slide it on the way that we positioned this loop here. You have to put on a jump ring and then put it on this jump ring and then close that jump ring. Whoops. Yeah, Gina. That was graceful. So again, slide your pendant on the jump ring and then slide the loop that you created on the jump ring. If you put it on the bead mat, it's better. It doesn't, if you put your big loop on this part, the frame on the bead mat. It helps you balance it. So now this is what I have, just like this. And then I'm going to put a longer chain. You can cut any length you want depending on what you're going to hang this from. I've got a couple inches here, probably 3 inches. Let me see. Yeah, about 3 inches. And then I am going to use one of these swivel clasps. You can use anything you want to hang it from. You could get a great big jump ring and put it on there and open and close the jump ring. But I'm just going to put this on my chain. So I'm going to grab a jump ring. I think I want a little bit better jump ring than that. Let me see. I have some of these stainless steel ones. So I think I'm going to grab a 6mm jump ring. This is a little heavier gauge than I have been using during this tutorial. And I'm just going to open it. Oh, maybe. That was good. Flying jump rings. Now I have to get another one. Sorry, guys. But, you know, I do things like that. Alright. I've got 2 out in case I fling the next one. These are pretty tough jump rings, so if you handle them a little bit wildly like I did, they fling. So I am going to take this link and put the jump ring on it and put it on the swivel clasp thingy and close that jump ring. And then I'm going to grab another jump ring and I'm going to open it and put it on this jump ring right here and put this one on here. Throwing things on the floor now. And try to close this really strong jump ring. There we go. And now I have either a Christmas ornament or a sun catcher or whatever I want it to be. This chain is a little too long. I think I'll make my chain shorter than that so that I can hang it. But this turns out really pretty. I'll see if I can get a picture of it hanging. And let me see if I can actually get this in camera a little bit better. And let you see what it looks like. This little tiny, I had a little tiny heart left over. That's probably what I knocked. I could hang it on there. On the jump ring. No, I don't want to. But anyway, you could do whatever you want in the middle. You could take the rest of your hearts like this one and hook them together and dangle them down the center here instead of having this guy. You can use any kind of pendant you want, anything. You just adjust your frame to whatever you put in the inside. You don't even have to put anything on the inside. You could have it just plain too, like that. But whatever you want to dangle on the inside, you can dangle on the inside, and you can make a bunch of either sun catchers, Christmas ornaments. You put like a little bow in here or something. It would be really cute. So basically, that's how you make a sun catcher, and I am going to try to take a pretty picture of it so you can see it hanging, but it turns out really cute. I'm going to probably cut my chain down a little, and maybe I'll hang it in a tree or something and take a picture of it. And this is what it looks like laid out all pretty, so you can see how everything looks all together. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you later. Bye-bye.